Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good. Got a little snow, but hopefully in a month it'll clean up, right?
There you go.
What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very realistic.
Just so you're aware, the camera's on, so I want to make sure. So if you and Mike want to talk about that thing, you probably want to do it in the other room.
Sure.
Ready?
I think so. Yeah, so I saw that, I'm like, 13,000, I'm like, holy cow, wow, or 15,000, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So 82,000, that is,
No, that's basically zero as far as the percentage, you know.
right.
Really, really right on.
So that, so when, the actual budget, what did you say, 250 or 270? Is that what it said?
For revenues, I think it was that much, yeah.
Or for, yeah, that's what it was,
For revenues, not for the net. So the revenues are skewed too high because we got the FEMA grant in there. You know, and then the expenses are skewed high because then that's where the expense came from.
Okay.
But they net, the two numbers net to the 15,000.
Okay.
13,000 difference.
And that's something that when you do a FEMA grant, you don't ever budget for that, because you never know it's a crapshoot whether or not
Right.
you get it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, you just have to explain it.
Right.
So that it's understandable.
Okay.
It makes common sense, so. Hopefully, it's not an issue. Hello. You must be Janelle. Yes. I'm Joan. Hi. Welcome.
Welcome. Passed out something for somebody to share.
Yes.
Or collections, you want me up there?
Yeah, I would probably do. I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where you want? Yep. I got you at the top of the
Yeah,
agenda.
I see that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, are you coming out of St. Cloud or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got our first gig in months tomorrow night, so I wanted, so I'm hoping I'll be able to actually get home and like get an hour of playing in before I go to bed. Maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
Usually learning songs on the way up here, guys.
Really?
The roads were no big deal at all.
Okay. Probably the interstate most of the way?
Yeah, like all the way, so pretty close to the interstate coming out of St. Cloud, so.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
I figured you'd have a lot other ones to do. Yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah, did you not get a email?
I just got those emails that
Oh, sorry about that. I just figured since they had your email, like, they would have emailed you anyway. Yes, yes, I got the number. Sorry about that.
So that number, yeah, so provided.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, it wasn't hard. Thank you. Not too bad.
Good, okay. Yeah, just if you think of it tomorrow or something. Are you working tomorrow?
Yeah, yep.
Just forwarded that to me.
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay. Rodney.
By golly, how are you? Good. Oh, we're putting this down for historic history right there, huh?
What on? He said he was coming. What did you tell him for the fire service? Hey, thanks. You too.
Be kind.
Oh, yeah, always. Good, how are you? I don't think meetings. Oh, are you? Alright, so then. No, I didn't come far. Do you? Hey, Dave? Actually, most of it. You need it back. I'll go that way.
If you haven't signed in, would you please do so? Just it helps run for. Yeah, you don't have to sign.
At the bowl. Did you get it? Yeah, I brought it up there already. Good. Oh, yeah. Thank you. was gonna take this photo, it's anybody sick or anything. Right. Survey. God, so. Way too much. So stupid.
Call the meeting order.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joan, any additional?
No additions or changes.
Any motion to approve the agenda? Make motions, second? I'll second. Seconds, in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, first item, now Kendall is here.
Hi, my name is Janelle Kendall, I'm the Stearns County Attorney, and I'll try to keep it brief. It looks like you've got a lot on the agenda here this evening. Although last year when I made the county tour, you were the best attended city council across the county. Lots of people here and lots of people engaged, which I think is really cool. So let's talk about being your city attorney. I've got this handout, there's some in the back there. If you guys want to grab one that's there so you can follow along. Three different things we're going to talk about. First, by law, I'm required to have a diversion program in my office. So if there are low-level crimes, people are coming into the system for the first time, we can keep them out candidly if they're willing to admit they did something wrong and go on and say no more. We didn't have any from Freeport last year, either juveniles or adults, but we found that generally our juvenile diversion is way down because our juvenile incoming crime is just way down. And we don't know if that was because the kids weren't in school as they normally would be, or if the cops are busy chasing bad guys, which we'll talk about. But juvenile crime is down candidly dramatically in the last 2-3 years. So we didn't have any juveniles coming through at all. And on the low-level adult crimes that came in, those tend to be shoplifting, criminal damage to property if somebody gets drunk and wrecks it or something like that, something will come in. And we actually saw more of that just last year and ended up bringing more of those people than usual. But none of those were from Freeport this year, so just letting you know that that's there. And if there's a low-level crime that comes through your town, either adult or juvenile, we'll take a look at that and see if that's something that we can deal with. The next page then is the misdemeanors that you got. As you can see, we had 7 last year. exactly the same as we had the year before. From year to year, you may have more or less DWIs or more or less serious DWIs, but your numbers are literally the same over time, and you can see that. We do have a lot of contact with the sheriff's office. Over the last few years here, we've had a lot of new leadership there. He's got 2 brand new lieutenants. He's getting a chance to, just as people retire, get to bring in a younger crew, and we're really enjoying working with them. And as you can see this year, for their city attorney work is virtually exactly the same as last year, as the year before. And then going to this page, the one with all the pretty coloring on it, that's what we do for you across the board. Not just as your city attorney, but as the county attorney, as the person who handles all the juvenile crime, so it says really down, and as the person who handles all the different levels of crime across the county. And as you can see, you had 3 felonies here last year, and I'll give you a breakdown of what those are. Nothing unusual, again, that we're seeing here. A DWI in a year in a town this size is not unusual. In fact, it says probably really low. I expect 2 or 3, depending on what's going on around town. But when you look at what those 3 felonies were, and we go to the last page, you'll see that crime was literally off the map. In Stearns County, as it is in most places across the United States, certainly there's pretty wild stuff going on down the metro. But what we're seeing here was a significant increase in person crimes. We saw a significant increase in gun crimes. And by gun crimes, I mean criminals who, by law, aren't supposed to have guns, having those guns. So these are felons in possession, and people who are carrying while they're drunk, people who are doing things that are clearly in violation of the law. We saw those triple last year. They doubled in the felony category, and they tripled across the county generally. Running from the cops became a very popular thing to do. There weren't that many people on the roads, and we saw some absolutely crazy stuff over the last couple of years. One of those was one of your felonies. The guy fleeing out of Polk County, he was going through Sauk Center, ended up catching him, happened to be in Freeport city limits, but Melrose, Avon, Sauk Center, everybody was in on that. And eventually they ended up stopping him with the stop sticks right on here in Freeport. He went to prison for 49 months because all of those counties wanted him. He had drugs and guns and all kinds of crazy stuff. The other one, we had a real bad domestic that came out of a wedding dance over here at the one night. Bad stuff went down, and that lady reported to that, and he is already convicted. And then the third one was a traffic stop. A deputy stops a guy for DWI at 3 o'clock in the morning. The pot smoke comes rolling out of the car, and it ends up with a whole bunch of counterfeit checks and a whole bunch of things that he has in the back seat. And because the deputy stopped him at 3 o'clock for crossing the center line, we got all that stuff. And he's actually wanted in 3 states, and we happened to find him going through Freeport. So those were the 3 felonies that you had. Again, not ones, 2 of them didn't even have anything to do with Freeport. One of them happened to be an event that happened here in your town. But when you look at almost 1,300 felonies across the county, you had 3 of them. So that situation is controlled here. The deputies are doing a nice job of finding things. They're stopping problems that are coming through your town, we know that for sure. And yet we do not see, again, here out in this area of the county, a significant number of those crimes coming from here. You can see the child protection numbers are down. We think that also might be part of juvenile crime being down when those kids aren't in school and they aren't in contact with mandated reporters. You might not be picking up as much activity as the other guys would have. But we had 8 homicides last year, and we had 8 homicides the year before. And after that being about 2 a year, since a long time, that is a really huge jump. But one of those was 4 people involved in one killing, and one of those was 3 people for the red carpet nightclub. We tried all 3 of those cases last year. We did have a lot of trials last year, but that's because our jurors kept showing up. Because I mentioned to you guys last year, there were some county attorneys that said they didn't get many of their cases tried because they'd call the jury, and the people didn't come. You came. You came. We didn't ever have a problem with that here, so we were able to keep the court system moving, and we actually expect that we'll be fully caught up on the moment. Some of the counties are looking at a couple of years to try to catch up. We had a plan, our public defenders looked at this real well, and our judges looked at this real well. So we're keeping things moving. Again, people are going to prison. The jail is back open. There for a while, we couldn't take people to the jail because of COVID, so we've got that back under control as well. So the system is working pretty well, but I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Going to the first page, the juvenile, this is just out of curiosity. Is that a Stearns County thing, or is that a state thing?
Global, cross country.
Really? That's all you do?
Well,
You're stealing cars every day.
well, Well, and that happens, we had one of those, we had one carjacking in broad daylight at Target, at Crossroads, and we're the ones who caught him, because he went from that Target to the Target in Monticello. And Target has awesome security, by the way, just so you know, it's like casino level security. They do an awesome job on figuring out what's going on. Target and Food Farm, actually, the absolute best security is awesome. So we were able to track that down. So yeah, we've had, knock on wood, and it was a 17-year-old kid, and it was somebody who was on his fifth carjacking. But we had one, and we caught him. So what we're seeing of the juveniles, I'd say you're right, that to the extent we're seeing juvenile crime at all, it is that 15 to 17-year-old boy. 15-year-old boy is the most dangerous piece of equipment you will ever encounter. And we've seen that consistently, but just not as much of it as there was. Which there is pretty nasty, but generally not as much. Well, feel free to reach out to us during the year. You don't have to wait till I show up. Because we do have all of these things available, and we've got a database where you can get into them fairly quickly. So in Melrose the other night, I got a question from one of the council members, and was able to get them answered by the next day. So to the extent that we can answer your questions when we have them, a lot of the information that we have is public. Who's charged and what's going on in some of these cases. So don't be afraid to ask. We want you to know. I know you see a lot of things in your day job that probably intersect with what the college kids are up to. The college kids have not been candidly causing us much problem as they used to.
Which is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so right now we're going to recess our regular meeting, and we will open our fire association meeting.
No. So the first thing is roll call. Do you want to call it, Mike, or should I?
You tell me, whatever you want.
I'm guessing I probably did last time. Okay, just let me know if you're present. So City of Freeport is here. City of St. Anthony.
Here.
Here, okay. City of St. Rosa.
Here.
Okay. Albany Township.
Here.
Okay. Crane Township.
Here.
Millwood Township. Okay. And Oak Township.
Here.
All right, everybody's here. Great. Okay. So if you want to look at your packets here, you have in front of you page 2, shows you the financial statement for 2021. Not audited, not completely final, but real close. You'll notice the big variance between budget and actual is because of a FEMA grant that was received, and then the payout of for the air packs that the FEMA grant covered. So if you look at the very top line, where it says federal grants and aids, that's where we see the FEMA grant revenue comes in. And then about halfway down the page, there's a miscellaneous expenditure line, and you'll see an expense there of $140,000 for year-to-date there. That's where we paid for those air packs. And so the city of Freeport paid for about $13,000 above and beyond what the FEMA grant was, because we have to have a share. Was it 5% that we paid?
Yep, 5%.
For the FEMA grant. So that's the big variance that you see there. Otherwise, so basically we ended the year $15,000 over budget, but $13,000 of that was because of the air packs that we needed to purchase. So we were about spot on to our budget. If you look at the very bottom, you'll see the cash breakdown. That's always something we look at. So we save up money for vehicles, for buildings, and for equipment. And you can see the very bottom little section on the rightmost column shows you the cash put away for each of those categories. Are there any questions on that page so far? Okay. On to page 3 and 4. shows you the expenditure budget, along with some actual numbers as well. So if we look at the top heading, you'll see it starts with account and object, which just gives you the description of the line item. And then you'll see actuals for 2019, 2020, 2021 there. Those are what was actually spent in those years. Then you'll see current budget 2022. So that's what we're currently operating off of now for this year. And then you'll see preliminary budget 23. That is what we are here to approve tonight, is the 2023 budget. So those are the proposed numbers here that Andy and I worked on together, going down the page. Most of the line items are very similar from year to year, so there's not a lot of variance there. Generally keep things on an even keel. Were there any questions that anybody noticed on the expenditures? Lots of numbers.
And this would be a chief thing here. So line item 215, $1,000 more in gas and oil, which is listed at way more runs.
Way more runs. Our runs are, last year we did 109 and normally we're around that 70 to 80. And we had 9 runs this month alone already, so we're projected to be above again. So with the price of fuel, I just increased it. Yeah. Mhm. And I know Melrose is up too already. Yeah.
On to page 5. This shows you the amount of funds set aside for anything for building replacement. For 2021, we started the year with 17,000. The city put in 5,000 toward that, and then interest income for an ending balance of 22,000 for the year. Questions on that? Yes.
When you say the city put in, is it the city or is it the area fire service?
Area fire service.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's part of the budget too. Thank you, Brian, for clarifying. Okay. Next page, page 6. The equipment replacement fund, so very similar. Last year, or no, 2020, it looks like, we split the two funds apart. The building and equipment used to be one. So for 2021, we started with 83,600, contributed 5,000, interest income of 500, purchases of 17,000, for an ending balance of 71,900. And this is where the 13,000 for the air packs came out right there, and that's part of that 17,000. Questions there? Okay. Page 7 shows you the vehicle replacement fund. Looking at the 2021 line, started the year with 214,000, contributed 53,800 there, interest income of 1,600, and then ending balance of almost 270,000 there. And then page 8 shows the revenues. So similar columns to the expenditures, you'll see the actuals for 2019, 2020, 2021. And then if you skip, you'll see current budget 2022, and then preliminary budget 2023, which is what we're looking at approving tonight. Again, fairly similar from year to year. Questions there? Okay, so all these numbers kind of add up into page 9 here. Page 9 shows the share for the different cities and townships of the budget that we have proposed here. If you look at the very rightmost column where you see 2023, that will be the share. And you can see it's only increased by 1.6%. We tried to keep that as flat as we could. And then the last 2 pages are just showing you the call totals for the last 2 years, so you can compare. And you can see there, yeah, we're definitely up in 2021. So unless there's any more questions, I'm looking for whether you want to approve the budget.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
No more motions. We have a second.
I'll second it, same goes up.
All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
We have a motion to adjourn the fire areas. Oh. Oh, yeah, chief. Tim believes you should give a speech right now. So if you want to make the announcement.
Okay, so far for the year, we're at 27, 28 calls, right around there. That's, like I said, that's significantly up. For whatever reason, I don't know. Fires have been up also this year. Also with mutual aid, helping Albany or Melrose, but everything's been up, so I don't know what the trend is or why. But we've had more fires, a lot more medicals. Not so much, not COVID related either. They're just more medicals going on. So we're busy running all the time. But again, we got 9 this month. We got 2 at one time going on. But the calls are all up. So, try and budget for that. When you shoot from the hip, sometimes you wonder what the call log is. Hopefully everybody pays, that type of thing. But we did pretty good last year. Saying in our budget of about $2,500 is pretty good. But all in all, we're sitting pretty good at the fire department. So I don't know. You guys have any questions or anything like that? Yeah, Rodney.
How often do you guys revise the vehicle replacement costs?
As far as you mean increasing it?
Well, or decrease, but to find out a new number for those numbers that we put in there in 2015 on that.
So we're going to have to address that because we're in the process of looking for another rescue van right now. And the prices, it's no secret, the prices on vehicles have just skyrocketed right now. So we'll be fine this year, but next year we may have to increase that, what we're putting in to cover the vehicle costs, just because of that. I know right now we're looking, new vehicles are going up 10-15% right now. If we were to order one or whatever but that's what all these people are telling us, that's what the rate increase is going to be here. So, but yeah, the 1%, right? I don't have a sheet with me here, but I think it's going to go up 3% in another year or something. Is what we kind of got budgeted for right now.
Is that the vehicle?
Yeah, on the vehicle one.
3%.
3%, yeah.
2,000.
Yeah. So is what I'm hoping. Nothing's guaranteed or anything, but our brush truck is gonna be coming due in about 5 years. We do not need a new brush truck. There's nothing wrong. We bought that one brand new in like 2011 or something. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I'm hoping that we can skip it, you know, and just keep that money, you know, so. Did that answer your question, Rodney? Okay, okay. Yeah.
So, there is no plan as of right now to buy a rescue van, or?
Yes, we are looking. Yep.
Are you gonna have another meeting to, when you find one, or what are you gonna do when you find one?
So we have a committee set up, about 7 of us that, you know, are getting all the specs and getting everything together to find out what we are looking for, and then once we get a hard number, then we'll come back to council and go from there. You know, and our rescue van goes out pretty much every call. It's on every scene. But you know, with all of our medicals,
Yep.
you know, we want, you know, knock on wood, we haven't really had issues with ours. We do a lot of in-house fixing and repairs, but you know, that's our last vehicle. We want to go down that and our main pumper.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's right. It's got to go. So.
Well, tell them about, the trouble or whatever out by State Park.
Oh, yeah, so this vehicle we're looking at now, we want 4-wheel drive. We're getting into some tight quarters, and there's been a couple instances where, let's say if we would have had a medical today, we've actually had to get out and shovel to make it into the yard and that type of thing, and that ain't very cool. You know, the firemen are supposed to be in shape, but that's, you know, round is a shape too, but. But yeah, so that's one of our things, our main things, is it has to have 4-wheel drive.
Okay. And 120 is in range, or
No,
that won't cover it?
no, and like I said, these were done in 2015, you know, you kind of project out there, but
Yeah. I know Melrose had mentioned they ordered a pumper last year, and it's not coming until 2023, so I would imagine.
if we were to order a new one now, it would be about March, they're telling us.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could order one now, we still have about a month to decide, and then we avoid that 10 to 15% increase also.
Any other questions for Andy?
I get a lot of questions about burning permits, it's a little fire service related. Andy, is it okay if I give him the chief's number?
Yep.
And Tim, were you still willing to write
Yeah.
down? Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, because sometimes if you're not around, I'll tell him.
yes,
I mean, it's just a question.
yeah, and they can do it online.
I know, but some of the people don't.
Yeah, they don't like to do that, and that's fine too. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, you wanna, they know about,
Afterwards, guys, everybody's invited out there. Larry Ashen right now is in the process of frying up fish, so you guys are welcome to come on out there right now as soon as we're done with the meeting. And
the entertainment committee?
yep.
Sarah wants.
Kim would like it.
To go.
All right, nothing further? Do you have a motion to adjourn? Or did we do that? Do you have any motions for- We need a motion to adjourn the fire association?
Yeah, that's actually.
Motion, do you have a second?
Yeah.
In favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Andy, you got anything for the fire department?
Nope, just the calls, and we're just in the process of going down tomorrow to look at it.
I didn't know if it was coming.
Thank you.
Marvin, you do the garbage thing, or?
No.
Is it, oh, and I'd like to do the open forum.
You wanna do the public one?
Yes, please.
Okay, you can. Public forum. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Robbie, please.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Rodney Atkinson, 310 K Street Southeast, Freeport. And then, well, good luck with deciding your garbage thing. I was kind of sitting where Mike's sitting when we had Danny giving up, retiring, I guess, and sometimes, only thing advice I'd say is, try to not make decisions with your heart, make them with your head, because, you kind of get sometimes into a place where it just happens, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but, start your up and give it all you got, because we want to have a good deal when we're done. Thank you.
Okay. Consent agenda. Anything that anybody saw? The caravan thing in there yet?
Yes. So I have a question about that as well. Why don't we get a new one?
Well, okay, so you bring that up. I think that truck, like, the bed of it looks awesome. The rest of it looks like junk.
Yeah.
And
That's the same as when I started.
it's no.
I mean, I could check, I think the minivan was, we purchased to see if we were gonna use it.
We bought it for $600.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, why are we putting another $600 into it?
And, well, I'm just saying, I think we learned it is a vehicle we use.
Oh, yeah, I see why I'm driving all the time.
It paid for itself in 2 months
Yes.
in fuel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it is something we use, and I think that was the reason we bought it, to see if the city was gonna use it, and, that type of thing.
Okay.
So, now it gets used a lot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So before we need to drop another 600 on it anywhere, bring it to our attention.
It's brought to your attention. It needs tires.
So,
The reason why I think is now, yeah, some used tires, it took another 626, and already $1,000 over $1. That might be going crazy, like the white man.
if you can find it. Yeah. The Ford, something that's, yeah. Anyway.
I mean, this is the third year we've had it, 3 years,
Yeah,
for $1,500.
pretty cheap.
I mean, even with putting new tires on, we're gonna have a total of not even $2,000 in it
Yeah,
in 3 years.
yeah. But,
And you'd get $1,000 for it if you sold it.
Nowadays,
like anything else, the price on it.
Yeah, I would think so.
it's got 220 something,
Something, I mean, how many miles around with, I remember.
212, so it's definitely getting used. So 218, 217, I think it was the other day.
Okay. Then like that truck, how bad is that falling apart on the inside?
It's in rough shape.
Because we have a sinking fund established for replacing that. I think that's something that we could cautiously look into. The box can always be swapped out. But just something that, if you drove by the other morning, I think I saw it.
And it's, in all honesty, it's a truck I would really, barring pushing snow, I'm not using much anymore.
And somebody,
Yeah, for sweepings.
This is more of a general question, but you set up a sinking the 1 ton or 2, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it needs tires.
Is that in here?
No, he just put us on.
Oh, okay.
Tires.
Yeah, I have it on my note, I was gonna bring it up.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Jake motions, Tim seconds. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Joan, clerk treasurer report?
I don't think I have anything to report, actually. So,
Okay. Fire department, Andy. Lauren, public works. Tires.
That was all I was gonna mention, so I guess it's up to you which direction you wanna go.
Even though we just put $600 into SA, let's just put some new tires on it. There we go.
So we should keep our eyes and ears out for stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's,
But, you know, just throwing it out there.
agreed. I would say get tires on it and look at the start. Whether or not you use it every day or not, I mean, whether van or truck, I mean, it's.
Well, I've seen the van significantly more on the road than, say, the 1 ton. Well, the 1 ton obviously now with the winter and using it plow, but otherwise the van,
The van even, it's just really nice because it's warm inside. When I flush hydrants, you need the hose. Everything goes in the back of the van, stays warm.
Yeah.
how do we use this?
Surprised you don't have one. Okay,
Other than that, that's all I had.
wait,
How's your record doing?
Yep.
Back, did you have to replace the blade on the big plow truck? Is that the one in or on the plane?
$275.
275?
Yep.
That was on the big truck, right?
Yep, the front blade. I would say after winter, I'll be replacing the wing blade. But it'll make it through winter.
Boy. Better ready?
It's been pretty efficient to this point, so we'll see what I can do.
You were making way too good time.
Yep.
David, engineer?
All right, started in earnest on 7th and 8th here, got the survey in. It's flat out there, which we knew. It's worse on the east end than I thought it was. So I'm looking for another option out there to maybe not go up so high with the road. We're going to add 4 inches to the top, and it's causing problems with the driveways. So I was going to hope you guys would approve poking some holes in the ground with the soil boring company and see if we could do a different strategy over there. What we do is we actually mix asphalt in with the top 4 inches of reclaim, and that gets you a solid 4 inches, and you put 2.5 on top of it, so our road only goes up 2 inches, 2.5 inches instead of 4, and that would really be a great help. Should be the same quality of roadway after we're done, but a little different strategy.
So, so road quality would be the same with this as it was with raising it 4 inches?
Yeah, so I attended several sessions on this particular spot because of this project on City Engineers Conference in January, listening to other cities and their experience with it, and it's become pretty popular, especially Metro. So it's coming out here.
Cost differential?
It should be about a wash.
Besides the boring
Yeah,
testing sample, but.
yeah. But yeah, for $2,000, I think it's well worth investigating for the sake of being out here. So, yeah, basically, like I said, you're getting 4 inches of asphalt, but it's not hot, so I mean, you're mixing anything cold with an emulsified asphalt, it's a bunch of water, it evaporates over 2 days, so that's hard as a rock, and you just put 2 inches on top, and you're good to go. So we'll get confirmation from ITT that that is the case, and make sure that's okay, and if they're on board, I think that's why they're all go.
For me, I was like, I'm fine going with this,
The cost is the same as we're not.
if it works.
If-
If
yeah.
the overall product is good for having farm equipment, whatever else drive over that we can't stop anyway.
We can't, you're right. Yeah, so in theory, you know, given with the math, it should work out identically. The structural number you gain out of it is the same. And like you said, your driveway is honestly one of the less problematic ones. It's further to the east that we're having real trouble with, because they're so flat. There is no crown on that road anymore, which is probably part of the reason why we're having trouble, is because your water can't get off it. So we're gonna put one back on there, but
We'll just slope it to the north.
that is going to happen once we get past there.
But not
Not
for you, were right in front of my place.
I knew what you're going for. Nope, that's not the right spot for you.
That would do me a good job. Okay, so you need a motion to,
That'd be excellent.
Would they do this in the winter?
They're gonna do it within the next week.
Oh, they would.
They're ready to go. So they're not actually gonna take samples like they usually would. I don't really need that. We just need depths and thicknesses, and we don't strike the layers, because we're not gonna get into it no matter what. So, a little different technique, so that's why we're getting a little cheaper too.
I'll make a motion to approve ITT.
I'll second that.
all right, Tim motions, Nick seconds. In favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
So then look for next month, we will approve plans and authorize bidding on that guy. In March, so we'll open bids in April for pavement. I'm not worried about that. Should be good. That's it for me.
Yeah, right. That's only got 2 minutes, guys, 2 minutes. All right, Scott said he could not be here tonight. I guess we'll just breeze over that. And Joan, on to old business.
Okay.
Building inspector Jeff said,
Jeff was gonna come tonight, but with the weather, and he's actually in St. Paul, he said he wasn't gonna be able to make it tonight, so we were gonna agree to push it back to March. So he's good with that. And I never did hear any more from, Inspectron, so. I don't have fee schedule from them, and I don't have whether they come and stop it.
they just haven't contacted you back.
They replied back to my email like right away, and he said he was a little busy right at the moment, but that he would get me a fee schedule, and that was over a week ago, I believe. So, and I haven't heard anything since.
Was he being Michael, or he being somebody
No,
from
his
Inspector?
name is Mark, he's the guy that gave me his business card when he first introduced himself. So, Jeff said he would have some information for us at the March meeting.
Hopefully he's for sure on that. He's back. System too.
Yeah, and I can reach out to them again too.
Yeah.
Are there building permits and stuff getting
Yeah, so,
stacked up that,
no, there's very few. They've been trickling in here and there. And so I just call Michael and let him know that they're here, and he comes and approves them.
okay,
Yeah, we're still working with him.
okay,
It's fine.
got it.
We did decide to go with
Which
inspection
is
until
good.
we,
Yeah, which is good, yeah. I,
Until we hear
from
some other options, or from Mark, or Eric. Yeah, Jeff, sorry.
Okay. Right, so, thank you very much. Okay. Next item, garbage collection. So, put out the RFP and we received three proposals back. Thank you guys for putting in bids. Yes, I appreciate you guys coming. I guess, unless anybody feels differently, I'm not looking for a presentation. I guess that's the biggest thing, just because the proposal was kind of the presentation. That's why, I don't know what others are like, but I just didn't want to get into presentations for this. Tried to do an apples to apples comparison. Maybe it's not right, but that's what we're here to talk about. So, I'll be honest, I'm gonna see. You guys can go over whatever you got for thoughts. I've had great experiences with all three. When I lived in Painesville and we had West Central, we had it for 10 years when we were, and it was zero problems. Waste management, since we've been here, personally from a residential side, I haven't had any single problems. And Tom's Refuse, my family has used them for at least the last 10 years, and they've had no problems with them either. So it's, like I said, I've had good experience with all three. But this is just, I don't know what you guys think or what thoughts. I know what I have heard, and not calling anything out, but I've heard from a commercial side of things that how things have not been satisfactory. But plenty of that, but it's it is.
Yeah, I think sitting in this position, like, a couple of years ago, we heard a lot, we're in commercial, and that was probably our biggest complaints in the city, when, waste management took over. And I know that we dealt with a lot of unhappy commercial, customers. I haven't heard anything lately, so maybe, I'm assuming things have gotten better. But I do know for a while there it was not good. Personally, as a resident, I have no problems. But I think we need to look, with the things about both residential and commercial.
Oh, absolutely.
I do like honest Melrose Hills. I drove through with the new West Central bins. It does look very nice and clean. I also talked to a bunch of businesses that are all in the area, not Freeport, about how the garbage works with both Tom's and West Central and Waste Management. I'll say it's good, but there's a problem with billing. Is what comes to frequently come up when I talk to people about garbage in other areas. But personally, I have no problem as a resident anymore. But yeah, should we put it to a vote? Would that be the easiest way to do it? Or just say what we want and throw it out there?
Tim, you got any comments or?
How big is that? And Doug, I gotta ask the question, so he's gotta talk.
Okay.
I'm on the commercial side of a deal. How big is a container that goes like this over the top of the cab? It would be about as wide as the arms. It would stand probably this high, and it would be like that deep. Is that a 2 or a 3?
6, and 8 in that profile. And then the height and the depth is the indicator, and it's a 3 or 4.
That's the thing, Jake, it's about this high.
It's a 3 or 4.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
About this high, maybe this high in the back, and it's that deep. Ish.
Does it have wheels on it?
No.
Okay.
I'd say it's a 3 or 4.
Yeah.
3 to 4.
You're just trying to get a gauge of how big you're taking.
How much my garbage bill is gonna go up.
I was trying to wonder where you're going with the phone.
Yeah. What do we have?
Tim's in there, how does this affect me?
Yeah, well, you get to ask the question, not that.
Yes. Hold on. West Central, I had a question.
I have a question as well, if that's okay.
Go for it, if you can go. I guess.
So, I know Waste Management offers every other week pickup for commercial products for dumpsters. Would you guys be willing to do it as well if costs get too high or anything else? Would you be willing to do it every other bi-weekly pickup?
Mr. Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we do that, and we can do once a month, and we can do every other month, and we can go on an on-call basis as well. I don't know if the proposal has slots for that, but we're more than willing to do
Yeah,
that.
I just didn't see them, all right. So that's all, that's the question I have.
West Central question, CPI hyphen U Midwest. Can you explain that one?
Melrose used it, Mr. Mayor, and other cities are using that. It's just an indicator, and that can be decided with your attorney. You know what I'm saying, depending on if you go with someone like us, or you can decide what CPI slot. There's many of them. Usually they use a Midwest because that reflects our area. And the CPI is a published standard for the federal government, so you can Google CPI Midwest and you see the charts. And the reason we've had to do that is because this last year, just like you're talking about with the fire department today, you know, everything is just crazy right now. And if they can get a rescue truck, good for them. I mean, they wanted to cancel our garbage truck orders this year. So, I mean, it's been a strange year we're in. So we would want to be able to come before the council with and request an increase, but used to be we could predict no increase for 3 or 4 years at a time because we had a good control of our expenses, and we could control a lot of our expenses ourselves. We're in an environment now that this is my 43rd year in business, and I got out of high school in the Carter years when the world was coming off inflation. I'll tell you what, I've never seen this before. In 43 years of business, I've never faced with what we face today, and we're all facing it together. I mean, I just don't know how else to say it. We're all facing it together. But we'll be as reasonable as we can and work with the council if we get that opportunity.
This is no offense to Waste Management, but I do like the fact that family owned, or locally owned is still a thing. Like I said, that's no strike on Waste Management or Chief someday, it's just,
Well, personally, for my business, I mean, I would call up to Texas because there was some dust in my dumpster and where it came from, where it was from, no idea. It took me 2 hours to get something resolved. I mean, it was a long time. It was very frustrating on my end. But I see that you did have in here that it was going to change over to you.
Sock Center, with all phone calls from Freeport.
Yeah. Which would be very beneficial. It would be very nice. But that business is not Freeport, so that's a little different thing. But
So, and I don't know, because I don't have a commercial business in town, but like, are these prices, I mean, there's kind of there's difference in the three. But then, I mean, I guess I don't know what you're paying now either,
not Freeport, I don't have the contracted price, so that's a question for, are you paying now, is that comparable with waste management, the price that you pay now?
I didn't look. So I can't.
Because mine's,
I'm just kind of curious. And like any other residential, they all seem like fairly similar. But the commercial, I feel like varies a little bit more. And like West Central, like, and I don't know, might keep up this little spreadsheet or like this thing together, which is awesome. Do you also offer like 3-year and 4-year? Oh, okay, it's just, maybe it wasn't a big part.
Yeah, and then maybe, yeah.
No, and that's like, I was just curious if certain businesses would want that size, if it was like available, so.
Yeah, that was not in the original sheet, and that was,
No, we'd be glad to do that. We have all those.
Oh, I figured you probably did. But I'd ask.
I would also like to make a note, the first time I called West Central, I got to talk to Don directly the first time I called. It was very beneficial, it was very awesome. Your guys' people I've talked to on the phone, I've talked to a few times, you guys are awesome, you guys are great. You know, and that's a really good thing, going back to the waste management thing, which kind of was very frustrating. But for you guys, it was really nice to talk to you right out of the chute. The first time I called, it was awesome. I really appreciate that. And the follow-up was really good too. But that's here or there, so at this point, it's kind of, we decided it's dollars and cents, or if it's, I don't know what to call it, but
For the yard waste, was it all kind of like the same, like the summer-ish?
yeah, but I
Probably
think it's
something
from
like that.
April to November, I mean,
I
one
thought
weather.
that's what they were at.
And I do, Jason, can I ask a question, like, am I understanding that right, that it would be $100 seasonal?
Yes,
Can I ask why? I mean,
for the yard waste service,
yeah,
to run a separate truck through the community. So it'd be $100 for, what is it, April 15th through the end of the year. So I don't believe we currently are doing yard waste.
no, and that's what, I mean, Freeport doesn't operate compost site to its residents. And I know we've talked about it in the past years, but, it was always kind of, it was worried about it would become a garbage dump, and we didn't want to make more work for one in the city. And that's why, finding out that Melrose had it, Avon had it, and it's like, well, we asked for it, and so that's why we just kind of wanted to throw it out there as offering to citizens. People have asked for a compost site, but after we talked about it, like, it's not, we don't know what the right thing to do is to do that. I mean, like, after the storm, it worked out well, to have a spot for people to go and stuff.
well, that's just the next long clippings.
Right, then you get into house and there, and it's whatever.
Like you said, goes it down.
I was gonna say, with that $100, it's a subscription, so it's not, every resident doesn't have to pay it, they
That's
don't
gonna be
want
my
the
next
service.
question, so each resident can
That one.
decide.
They have that option to choose that. If they want it, they can have it. If they don't, there's no charge.
And that's, I don't know if everybody wants it or not, that's something to think about too. Or the other two, it's just a part of it, like,
Yep.
the deal.
I know that Jeremy is not here.
Yeah, he let me know before the meeting that he wasn't gonna be able to make it after all, so.
So Jeremy has worked for Tom's for well over a decade. He is in the process of buying out Tom's. So I spent last week Thursday, last week Friday, and part of yesterday in the snow, calling around to references of people that I knew that had Tom's. And I mean, Butch is, I don't know how long Butch
been with, so they're talking to the city of Buffalo. They said that recently or whatever, they did sell off that road to Long Prairie Sanitation. And talking to the mayor there, he said, I wish they wouldn't have, but he said, Long Prairie's been fine, no complaints, but he said we've had Tom's for forever, and he said it's been great. So, he said, I know that Jeremy's not here, but Jeremy does live in town, and it is business or locally owned, family owned, so
His prices are better.
prices are better. So, I mean, it's all something. And honestly, this is another thing, and this is, again, it's, the only reason I bring this up is because we've listened to this, like you said, Sarah, I don't know how many times over how many years. The size of the equipment is a problem. Because there are alleyways that, granted, they don't go down the alleyways anymore. But the size of the equipment is a problem. I understand why it has to be that way. It's moving forward in life like this, but people have complained about the size of the equipment versus, and maybe it's just change. I don't know, that people are just used to not having, bigger trucks, to make it more efficient for it. But the size of the trucks has been an issue since Waste Management took over. And that's not, it's just business. But, I don't know.
One thing I will say against Tom's, a lot of their stuff looks pretty used. All the dumpsters, all the stuff that are in St. Rose, surrounding areas, stuff. Drove the miles the other day, or here today. It looked nice. They didn't drop brand new, dumpsters were all new. I mean, I don't know if that's an issue, but I don't know if I would have noticed any other time rather than I'm looking at garbage stuff. But I noticed that day playing, it looks great, it's awesome. So that's it's a big deal if people are gonna care, but
Right.
they were on dumpster, but almost every building that's all rusted up. Doesn't look a mess. But
No, that's true.
yeah, I don't know, maybe that's where that's maybe why I noticed, because they're doing this, but
How long is this agreement for again?
The base 3-year plus 2 optional 1 years. So that way it would be. And the only reason for that part of it is just with the timing of the last one where we signed it and then all of a sudden it was like, man, that was
Yeah.
quick.
And then the prices that were, those are, obviously they can fluctuate with gas prices and equipment,
Well,
or a couple.
I put something in there about no fuel surcharge, something or other thing. So I don't know if those were calculated in.
Well, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, no fuel surcharge, that's what we understood, and I might add, we use compressed natural gas, because there are Alexandria and Moore, we have our own plants that compress the gas, so that's the most stable fuel price there is. It hasn't fluctuated hardly at all in the past, we've had it since 2013. So, our calculations know that the fuel's not gonna be a problem, should not be a big problem for us, it's not. It's more the cost of goods and metal that we see happening, like in the fire department, vehicles and everything else, that's what we see. And we did take a big hit this year. And, we do put a cap, Melrose put a cap on the CPI, I forgot to mention that, and you asked about that earlier. The CPI with a cap, it was like at 4% there, so it couldn't exceed. And then it's allowed to catch up over time, though, if you allow us to continue to serve the town and say the CPI gets to 5% 1 year, but then the next year is 2, then we would request at least make that up a year late, if that makes sense, but we would come before the council for that. And we do have all the new carts and dumpsters in inventory, so that, they're ready, they're here, I mean, we keep an inventory, we do equipment, so we have that.
Jason, Waste Management, they have the same inventory
Well, we have carts, we would use this existing carts, obviously, they're not gonna swap out existing carts. But I will comment about the fuel, we didn't put a fuel table in there, our price is as is. There's no fuel skyrockets, our price is our price.
Like, just looking at prices, like, from a residential standpoint, like, I like waste management, just because it has, like, the yard waste as an option, if residents can choose whatnot, it doesn't add a ton, but then you look at, like, commercial prices, I mean, they're the high end of them all, plus, like I said, I know we have a lot of issues with that.
If you want the yard waste though, you know, tack on for like 5 months, $100.
Right, but yes, but like I said, if you don't want it,
20 or to 37. Then also now, if you want the yard waste that you are included, now it bumps them now to the highest.
right, right.
That's good or bad, you can choose to have it if you want, which is a good option. But
No? Do you have any thoughts? Additional thoughts?
I could put a cap on it. The CPI in the Midwest. That's a good idea. Not that.
What did they cap their price index?
capped at 4%. Capped at 4%. And you know, we've never had 4%, like I said, for a few years, just from 24, have we ever had overdue? Our tradition is, and you call all the towns, and we do many towns in the area, they do it in Painesville since 1987 or something, but we go 10, 12 years without any increases in our history, and I'm not afraid to tell you that, and give you a list of communities that we still have every municipal contract we've ever been granted, and we're very fortunate and blessed that that's happened. It's because we take it seriously, and you're just like I answered the phone for Counselor Arnson, we take it very seriously. That's all we have is customer service, and so we pay attention to it. But we don't ask for money if we don't need it, and we've always been able to make our operation more efficient. You know, now the Stearns County portion, I will say this, is driven by a higher cost structure because Stearns County makes us take half the waste to Hope Douglas incinerator, waste energy, and they crank their prices up at least 4% a year automatically on the disposal part of our cost structure. And since, you know, your community is in Stearns County, we do have to get that waste to Alexandria every time we come through town. And every hauler does. But that's also driven a bigger truck. To answer some of your question, to be affordable to drive that far, you can't go up there with a 5-ton load anymore. And we didn't create that, but that's what the government has created for us.
Oh, and I understand. It was just, I was just making a statement.
We do run 4 axles on them though, so our load per axle is lower than the old-fashioned truck strength. I can prove that.
They don't like that.
Tim, Jake, input?
I'm getting it narrowed down to 2. I really don't. I do have one of these companies on speed dial, so I have a problem. Get hunted down. But I just visiting with the past city clerk, you know, and I don't know if waste management thing got better or not, I don't know, but the past city clerk said it was beyond awful when they took over in Freeport. Because people in town got nowhere on the phone, and then the city became the punching bag.
You had how many meetings?
Oh, yeah, the room was full.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah. Those were times.
I guess I would be, you know, you said it earlier, you know, small, and I know West Central, you guys, you know, watched a lot of stuff regarding you guys, never heard of that thing whatsoever. Jeremy, who lives in the neighborhood, who lives in town, kind of even on a smaller scale of, you know, taking over towns and that kind of thing. I like that, I guess. I know you mentioned the carts and everything. I know they have in here that they were looking at buying new ones, different equipment to be able to handle it. So, and he's, you know, if he's in the process of buying, obviously you're buying used, and Thomas's was used, so.
I have a question, and this is not bringing off, but how active is Jeremy actually to take it over? Because why is he letting Upsala and Grable go?
He didn't have a choice.
Oh,
They sold, from my understanding of, they sold, Tom sold that off before Jeremy got a chance.
oh, okay,
That's my understanding.
okay.
So, which, like I said, it's just my understanding. That's definitely what it's.
Yeah. I know he's not here, he can't answer questions, but.
Assuming that Tom did not put a bid in on Melrose, just because of the size of it, I'm sure they couldn't handle that volume. And I'm speculating on that. Well, I have a motion first. Motion to go. Wow, that's.
I don't know if you need, is there anything else to talk about? I mean, I'm good.
Well, I'm gonna question you. Can you make a motion or say
I would make a motion to have West Central be our garbage hauler.
Motion was West Central. Second.
I'll second that.
Second, Steve. Any further discussion? No further discussion? We have a motion, Nick seconds. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Carries, 3-2. Thank you, Jason, as well, for putting in a proposal, and Jeff, and Don, thank you very much. Very much appreciated.
You understand it's a hard decision. You understand
you guys for coming.
Thank you, guys.
That's what else you knows.
Yeah, everything.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
The motion's to adjourn, we have a second?
I'll second.
6 seconds.
That's what I was like, you decision all night.
Opposed? Carried. Adjourn. Morning.